Not so good today. I made the mistake of watching television for an hour last night. So this is the result. My brain is on fire and my spine is just burning, and I'm in a lot of pain in my muscles, my joints. I'm lying on a chilled gel pillow to try and cool things down a bit. But I just have no energy at all, so no breakfast for me, but I'll try again in a few hours. Okay.
I think it probably started about 12 or 13 years ago, of kind of just starting to feel tired, really exhausted after doing really minimal activity. And then picked up a few viruses, I think, a couple of sort of gastroenteritis viruses, and I had sort of sinusitis at the same time. And I wonder if not giving myself enough time to recover from those, coupled with the kind of very busy life, having a young child and a husband who's working away from home all the time, just kind of all came together in a kind of perfect storm that's caused the beginnings of MECFS. To be honest, I had quite a caring doctor, but because at that stage doctors are not educated about MECFS, it's not in the curriculum at university, so even though they want to be helpful, there's literally no path for them to go down. Things are a bit better now, but 12 years ago, 12 years ago, they had nowhere to go. So I was sent to some specialists, and neurologists and rheumatologists. But at that time, the higher up the tree you got with specialists, the less they seemed to believe in ME. We went private, actually, and the man told me to pull myself together. I was spoiling my family's lives, and I just needed to get a grip, really. He was a neurologist, so that was a bit of a blow. I haven't left the house for 11 years, other than going to medical appointments and a funeral. It's really hard to try and explain that to people, because on the outside I probably look relatively normal, but to try and show pain and to show energy or lack of energy, it's a very difficult thing.
It's something I've always kind of felt has been a really strange part of my life, but I think at school more than university. At uni, I've probably because everyone's just less in their own heads and they've just got space to be a bit more compassionate. So I have much more sympathy if I describe what my life is like now. But at high school, it was just like indescribable. I used to feel such a kind of like pained heart when I would hear people complaining about doing stuff with their parents. And it's something that really got me at high school. Was people would complain, go, "Oh, I can't believe my mum's dragging me into the shops with her. Like, I had to cook dinner with my mum. Like and it would just be like a knife to the stomach when I heard things like that, because it was just, there was nothing that I wouldn't give to do that."
I have never been shopping with Louisa. We've never been to buy a pair of jeans or have a coffee since she was 11. She's 21 now. And when somebody says to me, "You need to pull yourself together, you're ruining your family's life," it's very difficult because of the loss that we felt.
I think that the thing I find most difficult, is when Ingrid has a flare-up. She's not like this at all. So, and a lot of people see her relatively coherent and articulate, and not kind of lie on the floor, unable to get up. And that's the thing that I find most difficult, because it happens a lot. You're either completely in bed, unable to get up, and barely able to speak, and then probably a week or even 2 weeks later, something happens that gives you enough energy to sit on the couch and chat, and yet probably for the next week to 10 days, I know Ingrid's going to be.
You'll be spooning porridge into my mouth as I'm lying on the floor.
Out for the count. That's the one of the bizarre things about the illness.
The most recent GPs that I've seen are coming round. I think it's because of long COVID. They're starting to see that actually this is real. These people are not getting over this after a few weeks or months. It's long term. It's not going away, and they've started to take ME a bit more seriously, I think. The Decode ME study is fabulous. It's so exciting. The fact that somebody is renowned as Dr. Ponting, as Professor Ponting, is taking this on in such a serious way. It's at last an acknowledgement.
ME is a devastating disease. If I were to choose any, it would be this one. It has the worst quality of life of many diseases, including many cancers. So many people are underserved by the health service, by the fact that scientists don't know what causes ME, don't know how to diagnose it, how to produce an effective therapy. If you were to choose one, and we have, it has to be ME. It is a condition that perplexes scientists and clinicians. We know almost nothing about it. So you would have thought that therefore more research would be applied to it. But the opposite has occurred, unfortunately, because when you put forward a project to be done, to be funded, there has to be a strong rationale. And we don't know what the strong rationale is for ME. We start with one premise and one premise only, that we know nothing, essentially. I don't want to paint the whole of the healthcare service in this country and abroad with the same brush. There are many healthcare practitioners who are fantastic in how they deal with people with ME. On the other hand, there are many that absolutely do not see it as being an organic disease. And because it is a heterogeneous condition, it affects many parts of the body. It comes, it goes, it fluctuates. And there are remissions. It is a complex thing. And into that mix will come skepticism from the healthcare professionals. People do have to wait, have had to wait for this type of research, and many years for their own diagnoses. And in Decode ME, we have participants from the age of 16 to 92, and the majority of people have had ME for over 10 years. We have over 100,000 years of personal experience recorded in our questionnaire responses. Why have people had to wait so long? Why do we know so little? very little research has been applied to it.
I became the ME Association's fundraiser, and then I became their fundraising manager. And I stayed there until August or September 2019. I couldn't do any more for Alan, but I could maybe use my experience to help support others. He caught a flu-like illness around about the Christmas of 2004. He took a couple of weeks off work. He then took it easy over the Christmas period. He went back to work. In the middle of January, he was due to be travelling for his work, and I got a call in the middle of the night from one of his colleagues saying, "It's all right, we've got your husband, he's safe, but he's not at all well." He'd basically struggled to go back to work too soon. He'd collapsed. He was brought up here by a relay of different friends. From there, that's middle of January, a couple of weeks in bed, really struggling, then struggled back to work again, and didn't know what was wrong with him, just knew that he felt awful. He started to scour the internet. There are good sites on the internet and there are bad sites on the internet. Sadly, he didn't find the best. He became convinced that medical community was useless and he had to find his own way. He found somebody who gave some kind of thinking therapy, is that the right word? That's basically, this was all in his head, and so he'd got to get his head straight before he was going to get better. I can't remember how much it cost at the time, but I know that it drained our savings. Got to the end of October, and it was about the time the locks changed. We were having a party for our young children, Halloween. He was struggling that much that the morning of the party he said, "I'm not coping." Said, right, okay, we'll phone the doctors, got referred to the hospital. It was a Saturday. Went into out of hours or whatever. Doctor there said, right, we're sending you to the psych ward. They said, oh yeah, we could admit you, but you're probably going to be better at home. I said, is that it? They said, oh, we'll let you talk to a nurse, and he can talk you through some coping strategies. But by the way, it's all right, don't worry, your husband's not a suicide risk. So we talk through the coping strategies. They refer him for further mental assessments. We'll maybe get an appointment in the next month or so. Just go away, go home. Go home, have the party. He struggles to sleep that night. Clear up the next morning. Take the kids. Say I'm going to take the kids to church. 2 children, 6 and 9. I say, you coming? Not this time. Take the kids to church, praying like crazy, please, we need some help here. Anyone? Well, yeah. Got home to find he'd done himself. Yeah. He just couldn't cope anymore. It was just too much. Since Alan died, there's been more work within the Scottish Health Service to recognise ME. There's guidance that was written not long after he died, which was issued to all doctors. So the guidance for Scottish doctors is far better than the British doctors. our own personal experience, because my second husband managed to get ME too, our personal experience is that doctors have been very supportive. And yeah, your doctor's done what he can for you.
I was working down in London for a big consultancy, and I was part of a 3-man management team that covered local government services in the UK. We broke up for Christmas. The 3 of us went home, Yorkshire, Derbyshire, and me back up to Scotland because it was a Monday to Friday job in London. And I caught a virus of some sort, flu type symptoms. Because we weren't speaking to each other over the holidays, I didn't know what was going on. My boss caught the same virus. His brain expanded to touch his cranium and landed in hospital and pretty much finished his career. He retired on ill health a couple of months later. My colleague had spots all over his eyes, inside his eyelids, on his eyes, all around his face. He was 7 or 8 months off. So we had a big business and nobody running it. So in my case, the symptoms manifested themselves in the joints. So my joints all expanded. Hands, elbows, shoulders, hips, knees, feet when it was really, really bad. I would get back to my hotel 6 o'clock of a night, go to bed, get up at 8 AM, get through the day, come home in an awful mood because I was fighting. I wasn't going to let this beat me, I wasn't going to let it. This went on for about a month or so. And then you said, right, that's it, doctor. So I went to see my GP, and I've known my GP for years, explained to him what was going on, and he said, yeah, it's ME. From where I'm sitting, it's ME.
As soon as he caught this virus, I was watching him like a hawk. As soon as he started saying, I'm going back to work, I was fighting him every step of the way. There were massive rows, which he won. He went back to work, and then he collapsed, and then he went back to work, and he collapsed. It was damned hard. You know, looking after 4 children through the week and then getting a grumpy, aggressive husband back at the weekend who was either aggressive and shouting at the children or fast asleep in bed. It wasn't much of a marriage. It was hard. And then one day, I can't remember if I'd had an extra loud rant at you, but you just stopped and went away and had a big think.
Yeah, come back to bed, I just have to learn to live with it and manage it, not fight it.
I will say that as the person looking after the person with the brain fog, that you have got to trust your instincts.
Yeah.
Trust your gut feeling. Don't think that this is the person that you normally rely on for good, calm, common sense. Appreciate that he's got ME and work it out in your own head.
When this documentary comes out, if it were to be seen by everyone in the world, which is ambitious, what is one aspect or one thing about ME that you would want to get out there, that you would want people to know?
Who's going to take that one first?
Okay.
I think it's the fact you just disappear from society.
The cognitive side of it, the brain fog, the inability to make a reasoned decision. So listen to the people around you. Don't think you can do it yourself, because you can't.
The thing that upsets me the most is that there's just a complete indescribable feeling of loss. It's like losing someone. It's like having it's like a bereavement. It's like somebody dying.
The only hope that people have that have ME at the moment is pacing. Pacing is the hardest thing in the world to do, but it is the only thing that will see you through. You've really got to learn to listen to your body find a way of recording your activity so that you know you can measure how much activity you can do without too much payback, so that then you can move forward.
Just that it's real. If somebody comes to you with, whether you're a doctor or a member of the public, if somebody comes to you, tells you that you're suffering with ME, just believe them. Take it at face value.
Many people around the world, most people, lived in lockdown recently. A lot of people have heard about long COVID, who are people who are still living in lockdown. A fair few people, but not everyone, are recovering from long COVID. Let's not forget the people who have stayed in lockdown for years, for decades, who are still living like that, locked into their reduced, restricted lives by their disease, a quarter of whom are housebound or bedbound. That's how we lived. We had a little insight into others' lives. Let's not lose that insight. And let's try and remember them, because these are the millions missing.